Today we're going to look in this short video at fractional exponents. We've already covered the basics and a recap of the grade 9 rules, which are listed here. Provided the base is the same, then when you multiply numbers involving exponents, you just add the exponents. When you divide numbers involving exponents, you subtract the exponents. And when you raise a number to an exponent and then raise all of that to another exponent, then you just multiply the exponents. So, what do fractional exponents actually mean? Let's look at this first one here, 16 to the power a half. What does that mean? Well, we're going to approach it a slightly different way and consider 16 to the power a half squared. Well, squared means multiplied by itself, so 16 to the half times by 16 to the half. When we multiply numbers with the same base, we just add the exponents. So we've got 16 to the half plus a half, which is just 1. So 16 to the power 1 is 16. In other words, 16 to the half squared is equal to 16. Something squared is 16. So the thing that we had must be the square root of 16. So 16 to the half must be the same as the square root of 16. Similarly, let's have a look at 8 to the power a third. Well, in the same way, if we consider cubing it, 8 to the third cubed means just multiply by itself 3 times. 8 to the third times 8 to the third times 8 to the third. And when we do that, we just add the exponents, and a third plus a third plus a third is of course just 1. And so 8 to the third cubed must equal 8 to the power 1. In other words, 8. So when we cube 8 to the third, the answer is 8. Therefore, 8 to the third must be the same as the cube root. 8 to the third is the cube root of 8, and of course that is 2. And we can use the same approach to show that x to the quarter is the fourth root of x, and in general, x to the 1 over n is the nth root of x. However, fractions aren't just 1 over something. They could be 2/3 or 5/3 or 7/10 or whatever. So what would something like 8 to the 2/3 or 81 to the 5/4 actually mean? Well, let's start with 8 to the 2/3. Note that 2/3 is the same as 2 times 1/3. And from our rules of indices, we multiply powers when we raise a number to a power to another power. So absolutely this would be the same. We get this 2/3 from 8 to the third squared, and also in fact from 8 squared to the power a third. In both cases we'd multiply the powers together, and 2 times a third is 2/3. So they're both correct. 8 to the third means the cube root of 8, as we've just discussed, squared, and the cube root of 8 is 2 squared, so the answer to that is 4. On the other hand, we can think of the right hand side. 8 squared is 64, and 64 to the third means the cube root of 64, and that also is equal to 4. So it doesn't matter whether you take the root first, then raise to the power, or raise to the power first, then take the root. So let's have a look at the second one. 81 to the 5/4. Well, this is the same as 81 to the power 5 raised to the power a quarter, and it's also equal to 81 to the power a quarter all raised to the power 5. Now I could work out what 81 to the power 5 is if I had a calculator, but I don't, and this is not something I particularly want to do. However, I know that 81 to the quarter just means the fourth root of 81. So it's the fourth root of 81 to the power 5. And you should know that the fourth root of 81 is the number that multiplies by itself 4 times to give 81, and that is 3. So the answer is 3 to the power 5, and I actually do know what that is, because I know that 3 to the power 4 is 81. So I've got 81 times by another 3, so the answer is 243. So, in general, whenever we have a fractional indices, the numerator always signifies the power, and the denominator in the fraction always signifies the root. It doesn't matter if we raise to the power first, then take the root, or take the root first, then raise to the power. Both are correct, but probably one way is much more obvious than the other way, depending on the numbers. For instance, let's have a look at 64 to the power 2/3. Well, this really means 64 squared cube rooted, or the cube root of 64 squared. Now, I don't happen to know what 64 squared is, so let's see if we can do it the other way. Well, 64 cube root, what number multiplies by itself 3 times to get 64? And the answer to that is 4. So 64 to the 2/3 is 4 squared, and the answer to that, of course, is 16. It actually also applies to fractions in exactly the same way. Remember when we looked at this in grade 9 and earlier on this term, we can apply the root to both the numerator and the denominator at the same time. So 8/27 to the 4/3 really means the cube root of 8/27, because the denominator is 3, so that's the root, and then we're going to raise that whole answer to the power 4. The cube root of 8/27 is just the cube root of 8 divided by the cube root of 27. And you should know that the cube root of 8 is 2, and the cube root of 27 is 3. And when I raise all of that to the power 4, the answer is going to be the same as raising each of them to the power 4. So it's 2 to the 4 divided by 3 to the 4. 2 to the 4, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. And 3 to the 4, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, we've already discussed, is 81. And now I'd like to leave you with these 4 questions to think about. View the video again, have a look at the previous examples, and try these 4 examples. Pause, and then I'll tell you the answers once you've had a go at them. Well, how did you do? Let's have a look at the first one. 27 to the 4/3, well, the denominator in the power is the 3, so this is the root. So this must be the cubed root of 27 to the power 4. And you should recognize that the cubed root of 27 is just 3, and we've already discussed that 3 to the power 4 is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81. Similarly, number 2, the denominator in the exponent is 5, so we have the 5th root of 32 raised to the power 4. And you should know that the 5th root of 32 is 2. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 32. So 2 to the 4 is 16. Number 3 is a little bit sneaky. 16 to the 1.75, well, that's just really the same as 16 to the 1 3/4. But hang on, we don't know how to deal with fractions like that. All we need to know is how to do an m over n. So this is actually the same as 16 to the 7/4. Now it's in a familiar territory. This is the 4th root of 16 raised to the power 7. The 4th root of 16 is 2, and 2 to the power 7 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 to the 5 is 32, 2 to the 6 is 64, so 2 to the 7 is 128. And finally, the most difficult one, so this is the same as the square root of 9/25 cubed. Or in other words, the square root of 9 divided by the square root of 25 cubed. And we know that the square root of 9 is 3, the square root of 25 is 5, and when we cube 3/5, that's the same as 3 cubed divided by 5 cubed. 3 cubed is 27, and 5 cubed is 125. Please do review this video again, look at these examples carefully, make sure you understand them, and you should be good to go.